Hey there, people. This is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, chapter 15 review. Things start to get popping in this chapter, so very exciting. Let's jump right in. So the creature is still talking to Victor, telling him what happened with his time that he was away after he was created. And in chapter 15, he starts out, such was the history of my beloved cottagers. He's told Victor like who they are, the history of them, how they came to be these French people in exile in Germany, and how Safi gets into the picture. So this chapter starts out with a couple of references to other stories. Okay, this is what you would call an allusion, A-L-L, not illusion, allusion to other texts that are really important in the structure of the story. So let me tell you about these three stories quickly. He says, one night during my accustomed visit to the neighborhood wood where I collected my own food and brought home firing for my protectors, I found on the ground a leathern portmanteau containing several articles of dress and some books. It's the books that are important. I eagerly seized the prize and returned with it to my hovel. So he has these books that are, again, not many people would have books. So the books that they do have are kind of critical to like evolution of literature. And the first one, he says there's Paradise Lost. That's by John Milton. And that's going to be the story of the fall of Adam and Eve and Satan coming into the world and bringing sin. Okay, really critical in terms of like connection to the Bible and all of Christian history. A volume of Plutarch's Lives, which honestly I've never read and I had to look it up, but it's like the lives of Greeks and Romans compared kind of on a side-by-side. And it's like, here's what to do with your life and how to live. And then there's another story called Sorrows of Werther. And that one is kind of a sad story about unrequited love, or when, like, let's say the man loves a woman and she spurns his love, does not know that he exists, ignores him. It's a negative ending. And so his quote, "The possession of these treasures gave me extreme delight. I now continually studied and exercised my mind upon these histories, and it just so happens that they were written in the language that he has been learning." So it's probably has something to do with Felix obtaining these books, perhaps to teach Safi, but we don't know, and that's not relevant here. The next paragraph, he says, "I can hardly describe to you the effect of these books. They produced in me an infinity of new images and feelings that sometimes raised me to ecstasy, but more frequently sunk me into the lowest dejection." Then his first one that he kind of details, the Sorrows of Werther, that's the story of the unrequited love. Now, think about the situation that he is in. The creature is separated and alone, and he loves the cottagers, but they don't know he exists. So you want to look at those two parallels and say, hey, here's the story. He's reading and learning and taking in all this information about someone being rejected in the same way that he's rejected. Well, that story does not end well. The protagonist ends his life. And so when the creature is thinking about it, he says, these things just crushed me. I inclined towards the opinions of the hero. Like I could relate to the hero, the protagonist, whose extinction I wept. So when the guy dies, the creature is like, he's crushed. Like, is this how it ends? He doesn't know any different. He's only got a few examples of history in front of him. Like, remember, he only was just created like a year ago. And so he says, whose extinction I wept without precisely understanding it. So he he feels the empathy and the loss, and that's why he's so deeply affected by the death of the protagonist in that one. He feels the pain. Then he says, I found myself similar, yet at the same time strangely unlike to the beings concerning whom I read. So I'm similar to them with my feelings, but different because I am so different, like appearance, that theme. Again, he starts to go on in that next paragraph. I sympathized with and partly understood them, but I was unformed in mind. He's not educated. He's teaching himself about the world. The path of my departure was free. There was none to lament my annihilation. If he's gone, he's the only one who is going to know about his existence, except his creator, which he doesn't know, didn't at the time know where he was. And then he says, my person was hideous and my stature gigantic. What did this mean? Who was I? What was I? He knows he's different. He recognizes this. Whence did I come? That's a big part of the appearance theme and isolation. You could cross them over and argue both. So he is constantly thinking about these questions. The next one, the Plutarch's Lives, which I possess, contain a history of the first founders of the ancient republics. And so he's learning about the Greeks and the Romans. And he says, in Sorrows of Werther, I learned from Werther despondency and gloom. To be despondent is like hopeless, and gloom, it's down, it's a downer, it's a negative, it's sad. But the Lives by Plutarch lifts him up. It's kind of like more instructive on here are the good things to do to make you a better person. High thoughts. It taught me high thoughts. He elevated me above the wretched sphere of my own reflections to admire and love the heroes of past ages. So this is a very positive book. So he's like, okay, well, maybe I'm not so down anymore. He kind of goes on about that, really positive in that long paragraph, lifting him up and understanding the terms, relative as they were. I applied them to pleasure and pain. So he makes a few more references later in that paragraph. He says, the patriarchal lives of my protectors, the cottagers, caused these impressions to take a firm hold on my mind. Like these good examples are shown better by the lives of the cottagers. He can really relate. The final book that Mary Shelley references and that the creature is talking about is Paradise Lost. And this is, it says, as I read it, as I had read the other volumes which had fallen into my hands, as a true history. I read it as like, this is the authority. It moved every feeling of wonder and awe that the picture of an omnipotent God warring with his creatures was capable of exciting. I often referred the several situations as their similarity struck me to my own. He says, like Adam, I was apparently united by no link to any other being in existence. Like I said at the beginning, the allusions to the creation story and Adam being created by the Creator, by God, then Victor taking the role of God to create a being which he is not supposed to do because you can't be a God. So then he's like, where did I come from? Why am I so disconnected? But then he says later in that paragraph, he says he had come forth, Adam, had come forth from the hands of God, a perfect creature, happy and prosperous, guarded by the especial care of his Creator. But I was wretched, helpless, and alone. Okay, isolation. Many times I considered Satan as the fitter emblem of my condition. He can't relate to the goodness of Adam. He relates more to the people causing destruction and harm and sin. That would be the Satan, the negativity. So that's enough of those references to the other books in the beginning of this. He says, I found another thing. It was the book that I had taken from your laboratory. And now that he knows how to read, because he's understanding all the words, he says, I found this journal and I studied it with diligence, and it was your journal, Victor. I found your journal on the notes on how you created me. And so he kind of throws it in his face, the disgust that Victor felt. And he's like, hateful day when I received life. Accursed creator. He's cursing Victor. Why did you form a monster so hideous that even you turned from me in disgust? It hurts. It hurts bad. He says, God in pity made man beautiful and alluring after his own image, but my form is a filthy type of yours. Hurtful appearance theme, big time there. I am solitary and abhorred isolation theme. So now that we have all the heavy stuff, out of the way for a moment, these were the reflections of my hours of despondency. He looks at his cottagers and he says, I have to find a way to get in good with the cottagers. And so he formulates a plan. He says, I know what I need to do. He dreads it in the next paragraph, lest I should fail. He does not want to fail. He feels like I've got one shot. And I hope you're just wondering what's going to happen here. Don't read ahead. So, the next couple of paragraphs, he is kind of talking about how he is going to make his plan work to be in contact with the cottagers because they are so good. A few references to like idealism, that Safi is there, everybody's happy, their happiness was not decreased by the absence of summer, the change of seasons, kind of idealism. In the next paragraph, he says, I asked, it is true, for greater treasures than a little food or rest. He's not really interested in material things. He wants the love and the kindness. I required kindness and sympathy, but I did not believe myself unworthy of it. So he's saying, I'm worthy of this too, right? So he's got this plan, and then Safi, Agatha, and Felix go on a long walk, which leaves old man de Lacy alone, blind, in the cottage by himself. The creature says, this is my opportunity. My heart beat quick. This was the hour and moment of trial which would decide my hopes or realize my fears. We have two options here. It's going to be great or it's going to be terrible. He's hoping for great. He knocks. Who's there? Said the old man. Come in. He entered. First time in contact with someone where they don't run, scream, faint, pass out, throw things. Pardon this intrusion. He's very eloquent when he comes in. They have a brief conversation, but it centers on, think about this, the de Lacy family has been exiled from France, and the creature is speaking to them in French because that's how he learned the language. Do not trouble yourself, kind host. I have food, its warmth and rest only that I need. That's the creature. Again, very eloquent. There's some silence. And then the old man says, by your language, stranger, I suppose that you are my countryman. You're speaking my language. Are you French? Good question. Well, no, but I was educated by a French family and I understand that language only. True. I am now going to claim the protection of some friends whom I sincerely love. He's talking about the cottagers there, and whose favor I have some hopes. Are they Germans? Now, de Lacy asks, are they Germans? Because they're in Germany. And again, why are you speaking French, but you're looking for your countrymen, this people? He says, no, they're French. Okay, that's kind of a giveaway. Like, if you're de Lacy, that's a red flag. Like, there's nobody French around. Felix has been going and doing work for neighbors all around. So, No. Are they Germans? No, they're French. But let us change the subject. Maybe the creature is like, oh, I can see this is maybe going sideways. I am an unfortunate and deserted creature. He gives his statement. He says what the problem is. He says, I have no relation or friend upon the earth. He sets it all out. And the good man, the old man de Lacy, do not despair. To be friendless is indeed to be unfortunate, but the hearts of men, when prejudiced by any obvious self-interest, are full of brotherly love and charity. Like, we could still all find a way to get along, right? Rely therefore on your hopes, and if these friends are good and amiable, do not despair. Don't worry, everything's going to be fine. And then the next paragraph, the prejudice theme, the prejudice, being prejudiced against someone. The creature says they are kind. They are the most excellent creatures in the world, but unfortunately they are prejudiced against me. I have good dispositions. He's been learning. My life has been hitherto harmless. I've not done anything bad up to this point, and in some degree beneficial. I've been helping others. Don't forget, he's been doing the chores. But a fatal prejudice clouds their eyes. The old man is blind. The prejudice does not affect him. This is really important. And where they ought to see a feeling and kind friend, they behold only a detestable monster. He just told old man de Lacy that people see him as a horrible monster. Okay? So the word's out. He takes it in stride. Well, that is indeed unfortunate, but if you are really blameless, can you not undeceive them? Is there some way that you can make them see the truth in your goodness? And the creature says, I'm about to undertake that task. I'm just about to do this. And it's on this account. This is why I'm so terrified, is what he's saying. I tenderly love these friends. Okay, he admits it. And he says, I have, unknown to them, been for many months in the habits of daily kindness towards them. Okay, he's telling him he's the one doing the nice things, but they believe that I wish to injure them. Well, we don't know that that's what they think. They have called this the good spirit and kindness and goodness, but that is the prejudice to which I wish to overcome. Here it is. Where do these friends reside? De Lacy's like, there's nobody around who speaks French. It's just us. So I got to put this all together. And the creature says, near this spot. There's a pause. He then continues. And then he basically says, why don't you tell me the details? If you will unreservedly confide to me the particulars of your tale, maybe I can undeceive them. Maybe I can be the voice of reason. So he has a really great response. Everything is going well. I am poor and an exile, but it will afford me true pleasure to be in any way serviceable to a human creature. I will help you. I don't want you to suffer. He's like, I'm an exile. I was accused. I know what it's like to be out alone in the world. Excellent man. This is the first opportunity that the creature has had to receive kindness. I thank you and accept your generous offer. You raised me from the dust by this kindness. And I trust that by your aid, I shall not be driven from the society and sympathy of your fellow creatures. And then he says, a couple more things about like, oh, it would be terrible if you were condemned, although innocent. I feel for you. I understand your situation. And then he's like, how can I thank you from your lips? First have I heard the voice of kindness directed towards me for the first time ever in my existence. I've never been treated with kindness, and you are the first one. And then he says, may I know the names and residence of those friends? Here it is. I paused. And then he hears the steps of everybody coming back from the walk. And this is where everything falls apart. He says, I had not a moment to lose, but seizing the hand of the old man, I cried, now is the time. Save and protect me. You and your family are the friends whom I seek. Do not desert me in the hour of trial. Do not leave me. Here they come. Please help me. But DeLacy doesn't even get a chance to help him. As the creature has his hand on the old man, he exclaims, great God, who are you? He can't see him, but Felix and Safi and Agatha walk in and see the creature touching the old man, and they assume the worst. The cottage door was opened. The three of them entered. They were horrified. Agatha fainted. Safi could not attend to Agatha, so she ran. So we have fainting and running again. And then Felix darts forward and starts pummeling the creature. It's just everything that has happened before. It's crushing. It's spirit crushing for the creature. He loves these people, but they don't know him. And DeLacy doesn't have a chance to talk about it because the appearance theme is the glaring thing. That's the only thing that people see. So Felix rushes forward with supernatural force, tore me from his father. I had clung to his knees. In a transport of fury, he dashed me to the ground and struck me violently with a stick. He's getting ready to do it again, and the creature runs out, and it's just terrible. So in the chaos, he quits the cottage and returns to his hovel. Nobody sees him go there. And that is the end of chapter 15. It was everything that had been built up in the last few chapters, the hopes of the creature that he would have family and love, and he does not. It's rejection again. Anyway, I hope this is really helpful for you. Click subscribe. That does help me out. And then it helps you because you see all the new videos. Anyway, sorry for the long one, but it was a big chapter. So we'll see you on the next one.